All right, boys, we are live. We got ourselves a hump day edition here of the Slate. I'm Emerson Latzia, Jeff Ulrich, our Canadian Prince of Poutine. And then we also have Mr. Nick Fryer here, who's kind enough to join us. And it's really nice to have you here, Nick. How are you doing today?
It is a genuine pleasure to be here to talk with you guys and break down every nitty gritty thing about golf, because I know you guys want me to talk golf and nothing but golf.
Yeah, I want you to talk about the match. Who are you going to bet tonight in this thing?
Yeah, isn't Bryson DeChambeau in this one, or is this the one that has Phil Mickelson, or is this the one that Dustin Johnson's doing and he's getting 125 million?
Oh my God, Jeff, help this kid out.
Dear God, yeah, that was bad. I mean, even Pierce probably knows who's playing today. It's the NFL match, man. You should get this one, Nick. You talk NFL.
He's messing around. He's messing around.
I love when you and Pierce do NASCAR together, by the way. That is one of my favorite things.
I know, and then I make up for Pierce's shortcomings in the sport. I know, it's awesome.
It is unbelievable. But no, I do think that Brady's going to go and pull through this one. Hasn't he choked on the other two that he's been in?
Yeah, he's 0-2. He's 0-2. But like Jeff said before we popped on here, like Rodgers and Brady have such an advantage over these other two dudes. Like, I don't understand why they paired them together. Like, you wanted to even it out a little bit, right? Like, Jeff, I would have split them two up and then split up Mahomes and Allen.
For the longest time, like, because this was announced, I actually thought that's what they had done. And then I realized, like, last week, I'm like, oh no, it actually is like Rodgers and Brady.
Yeah, when you had to write an article,
you're like, oh, this is when I actually had to research it, I found out, but I'm surprised too. I mean, I can't find the odds for it right now, but
I don't know.
Last we saw it was like Brady and Rodgers were minus 190. So, I still like them. Like, I think that's the side to take. Aaron Rodgers is clearly the best player of the four.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady might be the second best. If he's not tied with Mahomes, he's slightly better.
But doesn't Rodgers have a tough time with like finishing? Isn't that his problem?
Yeah. Yeah, what's going to happen is they're going to have like a one-stroke like lead going into, I think it's only 12 holes, so going into like 10th, 11th hole, and then he's going to double bogey like the last two or whatever. But Brady Rodgers minus 190 here, and then Allen and Mahomes plus 160. Bunch of tournament props still available, guys. Hole props, golfer props, all that fun stuff. If you're watching, you're interested, you want to bet at DraftKings is an official partner here of the match, and I think it starts around 6:30 or 7 over on TNT. So check that out. But Fryer, we have you here because this big game here on the screen, we got the Celtics, we got the Warriors, we got game one of the finals. Yeah, tomorrow night. Yeah, we're going to put you to work while you're here. Is there, okay, so just we'll come out with it. Is there a bet that you really like for tomorrow night? I don't care if it's a prop, spread, total, like what the money line, whatever.
So there are a few things that I'm looking at. First, I think the Warriors are going to win this game. I do think they're going to cover, of course. Last I checked, it was at 3.5, unless something has changed. So
yeah, it's still 3.5, and I think it should be closer to like 5.5, but like whatever, that's the story.
The Warriors don't lose at home. I do think they will lose a home game in this series, but still, I like them to pull this one out. But I've been looking at the Celtics turnovers because obviously they had some issues with that last series. Yep. I like some of that there. But I think something that's really intriguing is the consecutive three-pointers made prop. When you go under player props, there's some high-end value there. I mean, you got Steph is the lowest odds, and he's at plus 450. I think it's only him, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, Tatum, and Brown. And if I was to go with anybody, I don't know if I'd go with Brown. He could pull that off, but Tatum and Steph are the two guys that I like most because Steph, I mean, we've seen Steph do stuff like that all the time. And Tatum, when he gets rolling, it might take a little bit, but when he gets rolling, like he's very much capable of banging back-to-back three-pointers. And that's all you need. It's just consecutive three-pointers, not three in a row, nothing like that. So if you're looking for dart throws, I think those are the most intriguing bets that you're going to find in anything in game one.
Yeah, I feel like the spread too, like with the Warriors 3.5, you're almost like getting them a little bit at a discount. I know the Celtics too have lost the first game of like the last two series, I believe. So it's just, what do you think?
I think the other thing you can look at too is like when we're talking about we have two really strong defensive teams, right? And of course, it might lead you to look towards the total. But one thing I've been doing a lot more of is looking at the first quarter point totals for teams. Now, Julian actually was the one who kind of turned me on to this because he's been all about Memphis all year long, and it really worked out well for those who bet the over on that. I've been trying to apply it everywhere else throughout the postseason, and largely it has worked for me. But the one I like here would be the Celtics under. I haven't checked if the point total is updated, but if you scroll to the right, Emerson, you'll see it under.
It's Jeff. You're telling Jeff what to do, not me.
Oh, Jeff, I am.
Yeah. I have no idea.
A lot of direction.
He really does, dude. It's really bad when it's just Jeff and I. One of us has to screen share. We panic.
I should have known that you were the brains of the operation, Jeff. My apologies. But anyways, I believe it was set at 25.5 for the Celtics, and we did see them go under that quite a few times against the Heat. And the Heat are a much more in-your-face kind of defense, but still the Warriors. There we go. So under 25.5 for the Celtics at -115. Of the 4 options there, that one would be my absolute favorite. But yeah, this is obviously a superior defensive unit to the Heat, as much as the Heat have an in-your-face style that impacted the Celtics a lot. So having that extended rest too, and now we have Otto Porter questionable, Andre Iguodala questionable, and Gary Payton the second questionable, all important defensive pieces. So if you get any one of those guys back, that's going to make a significant difference. And I think we're going to see that show more than anywhere in the first quarter.
Yeah. And, one thing I was unaware of until I did like minimal research for the show was, despite like declining a bit in the second half of the season and then like losing Draymond Green for like a chunk of it, the Warriors still finished with the second best defensive rating like in the league. Like that has been Steve Kerr's like mindset all years. Like, let's just be like these defensive gurus. So they're they're really close to the Celtics.
It does seem like a big total, doesn't it? Like 25 for the 25.5 actually. So yeah, I mean, again, no research done for basketball over on this side of the screen, but it does at first glance, like just look, too big. So.
Yeah, and in the first 3 rounds, like it was easier to get a few, sneak in a few overs here and there. And there have definitely been some overs. Actually, I think in the last 2 games, I had the Celtics over in Game 7, and then I had the Heat over in Game 6. So there's still overs that are going to hit, but when you see these stronger defensive units and they're trying to set the tone in the first quarter, and we see that a lot. Some teams try and do it with their offense. Some teams are going to do it with their defense. The Warriors are going to do it with their defense because of how strong they've been. They sure they could go off for, 27 points in the first quarter too, but I think we're going to see the defense show face. Because like you said, Emerson, that's been their calling card all season.
Yeah.
And with having Steph Curry on your team, look, I'm not saying Steph doesn't hustle on defense, but he's not exactly like built to go and lock somebody up. So for that to be their calling card all season, it says a lot.
And to me, they have multiple advantages. The Warriors, they have the rest advantage. They wrapped up the West in, what was that, 5 games? I think it was.
5 games.
They're healthier team in terms of their main rotation. They've got the edge with veterans who aren't going to be blinded by these bright lights. That was the one thing, the other day, Horford, getting all emotional. It's can't believe it. And all these other guys who, this is their first trip. They're going to be very excited about it. And I think it could be a little bright before they settle down. So that's another reason I think to the bet. Also, home court advantage. They haven't lost at home, the Warriors, this entire postseason.
That's true. And one little thing on Horford, by the way, he played 141 playoff games before getting to the NBA Finals. I don't know if you guys saw that stat. I think it was ESPN or ABC, whatever they were.
Yeah, it's been everywhere for sure.
Okay, all right. So it has been there. Well, Jeff's a hockey guy, so I have no clue.
Yeah, and a NASCAR guy.
Yes,
but
right.
The one prop that caught my eye, because we've seen, and both of these teams have been bad at it over the past couple of years, turnovers. So then I saw the Jason Tatum turnover prop, and I'm like, oh my God, over 3.5. I get it. He's been carrying this offense throughout the playoffs. What is he leading the team? 27 points per game, second on team at around 6 assists per game. But that heavier offensive burden, Nick, has definitely resulted in more turnovers. So he's turned the ball over at least 4 times in 6 of his last 9 games. And so he's averaging just a tick under 5 turnovers per game over that span.
It's obscene. And look, he's been bad, but Jaylen Brown has been brutal too.
Yeah. That's another one.
Smart can go off for turnovers on any given night. Derek White's is at 1.5, and he has some dumb passes mixed in here and there too. I think you're going with Tatum is fair. It's obviously, a pretty high number, but Brown actually would be my preferred one.
Okay.
And I know the juice isn't as favorable as some of those other ones, but the thing with Brown, I think we've seen him turn over the ball 4 times in 3 consecutive games. We saw him turn the ball over 5 times against Golden State once this year, and then 2, I think, the other time that the Celtics saw him. So right around this number both times. And the thing is, I don't know when this started to happen, because I know Jaylen Brown has never been like Kyrie when it comes to ball handling. And when he first came into the league, it was not great, but it got better over the years. Then there are times against the Heat, and we saw some blunders against the Bucks. It's like he's never dribbled before, and I don't get it. but like
wild.
He can say all he wants about like the Heat being in your face and being physical and getting away with like smacking down sometimes. Sure, there's some of that, but there's also some plays where it's like, what are you doing? Like you're like a deer on skates right now.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that would be my number one guy to go with when we're looking at the turnover market. But any of those 4 guys, I think, is a good bet.
Okay. And anything in terms of DFS that you may recommend for the game tomorrow? There is a Millie maker. So there's a big opportunity. I think for $25, people watching right now could enter. You're up for $1 million. You win that. You go to Tournament of Champions, another $1 million like up for grabs. I think it's the usual suspects. You have like Tatum, and then I think it was Curry, top 2 guys there. But we know the usual suspects are going to score. Is there anybody you think who could fly under the radar, could be a good DFS play?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're looking at some of the Celtics reserves, I think Smart and White are 2 guys that you could kind of consider. If Jeff could get those prices up in a second, but I think looking at those 2, but then I think Kevin Looney is the other one too. He's another one that could sneak under the radar. And obviously those guys are going to be a little bit more mid-range, but with Looney, I mean, this is a guy, I like his over on his rebounds too. It's set at 9.5. He's getting a ton of rebounds last series in the Celtics. If they don't have Robert Williams, as much as they still have some guys with size, that's going to be a bit of an issue for them, working on the glass and trying to limit Looney, where he was feasting last series. He's done well against the Celtics during the regular season too. So that's a guy who's not points dependent, but still can hurt you on the offensive glass, which is going to lead to points too. So those are the guys that I'd be eyeing.
Okay. Yeah. Looney's going to be 7,400. There's Wiggins around that neck of the woods, 72, Jordan Poole, 64. And then just like yesterday on the show, I know Chin May mentioned Grant Williams and Derek White.
Grant Williams for sure. Yep.
Yeah. Which, unfortunately you have a Grant Williams game. Then he thinks he's Steph Curry, like the following game after everyone's like praising him. And he ends up just scoring like 5 points on like 3 for 20 shooting from beyond the arc. Before you take off, we talked baseball this morning. Do you have any baseball plays you recommend for the people here real quick?
Yeah. So to not double up on what I talked about today or what I wrote up on.
Yeah. If you could do that too, if you want, if you want to be like lazy, it's fine.
No, I'm not going to do that.
I do it all the time.
Well, I'm like
14-0 for the Marlins. What the heck's going on?
So it's, I'm sorry, what is it? Did you say it was 20-0?
It's
no,
14
nothing.
Well, I was in on DJ Jazzy Chisholm, Jazz Chisholm on him getting 1.5 total bases. I think he went yard. But anyways,
so they're in Colorado. Isn't that where like Jesus? God, what was it? The other day he hit like a 500-foot home run there, dude.
I mean, that is a swing that like you take in the on deck circle, like as you're getting ready to step in. You're not actually taking that kind of hack up there.
No. He probably is like, I'm just going to swing as hard as I can. And I'm probably going to miss it, but like, whatever. No, he made contact and it's the longest home run that we've seen, I think, in years.
Triple deck. I mean, insane. But yeah, so I mean, if you're looking to, get in on that second game, there's some interesting, I think the Rockies are at, their totals at 4.5. I know they're getting smoked right now, but anyways, looking at the Phillies game that's going to be starting soon. Aaron Nola's strikeout prop, it's set at 6.5. I think it was like right around even money last I checked. I like him a lot there. He's been pumping over that number. And I know the Giants are kind of like middle of pack in terms of strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. And they've put up some pretty good numbers, but Nola has been in a groove. And I love what he does with his changeup too. So
let's do the Nick parlay before he leaves. We'll do Jaylen Brown.
Yes.
Over 2.5 props.
Okay.
Or over 2.5 turnovers. Aaron Nola. Over 2.5 strikeouts. That's plus 204. That's not bad.
Yeah. Okay. Dude. All right. I'm rooting for this tonight now.
Okay.
This is good stuff, man. I am Team Fryer all the way now.
Oh, that warms my heart. At least somebody at DraftKings is. I know Jeff is too. It's Steve. He just really makes me feel bad about myself all the time.
It's all right, man. We're here to lift your spirit. Yeah. So the 8 games on the main baseball slate tonight. Thanks, man. Wait, do you have any hockey plays before you go?
Just kidding. Who are the Rangers playing again? It's the Hurricanes. Is that right? No, they just beat them.
Oh God. Okay. Bye, Nick.
All right, get out. All right, dude. You're
good too.
You really were doing good. Okay, man. We love you, Fryer. Thanks, buddy.
See you guys.
Jeff, you know what's funny is like last night. What did we see? So we saw 14 goals last night between your Oilers and the Avs by 13 different goal scorers. That was insane. The goalkeeping was hot garbage. But it's going to be like the complete opposite tonight. We're about to see like former Vezina winner,
Yeah.
a future Vezina winner. Like these are the two best goalies like in the league, dude, that's going to go down tonight. So it's going to be like what?
It's like watching two different leagues. Like legitimately it is. It's so weird. I don't think I've ever seen this big a dichotomy between the West and the East. Like, yeah, sure. You get different like feelings of a series. And sometimes it's like a big favorite and they blow out the other team out. But like, there's nothing, this is just two different like planets. I mean, these two teams, like the Rangers and the Lightning, they're going to be shut down. It's going to be grinded out. It's going to be system play. And then the goalies are just going to step up. And I mean, obviously, like it's just pond hockey in the West. I mean, it's pure pond hockey, 7 games. I'm sure we'll have one game where one of the goalies does something crazy, like stop 50 shots. But, you know, like the 7.5 at plus 110, I don't even know why you wouldn't take the over, like in the next Oiler game. So, that's an interesting one. I just, since we're talking about that game, at plus 155, I mean, I think you got to hammer the Oilers for the next game.
Okay.
It sounds weird, but like when you put up 6 goals and you're down 7-3 and like you actually have a shot at the end of the game, that's actually like a confidence building loss. So I think they know now. They say, okay, all we got to do is just tighten it up a little bit and we got this team. So I actually really like the plus 155 in the Oilers for that game. This Rangers Lightning series, oh man, I've been on the Rangers the whole way and it just feels like
you have been.
We're at the end of the rope here. You know, like we're just going to push our money too far if we try to take on Tampa. I think that the minus 130 on Tampa Bay, as much as I like the Rangers, is very fair, perhaps too fair not to take. Even in game 1, I think that the Rangers will, make a little bit of a game of this, but I mean, I don't want to bet against Tampa. Why would you want to bet against Tampa at this point? The Rangers did beat them like the last 2 games of the regular season, but
I think the Rangers went 3-0 against them. I think
they might have. Actually
it was 3-0, and one of them was a shootout victory. My thing is this, dude. They've been waiting to play since May 23rd. Like it's June 1st right now. I mean, they swept the Panthers and they outscored Florida by a 13-3 count here.
Rust is a thing, like in hockey too. Like we saw after COVID layoffs, some teams played really terrible. So it's a thing. If it was anybody else but the Lightning, I may actually be like trying to get on the Rangers. I don't know. Maybe like you trying to think of different ways to play it. Like maybe you bet the Rangers tonight. And then, if Tampa does end up winning, I guess you could still jump on the series line, but it's going to be like minus 200. I don't know. Maybe just bet Tampa for the series. And if they come out lose game 1, they'll probably still cover it for you. That's another way you could look at it. But I don't know. I see that minus 130 and I know the rust factor and Shesterkin, who again, I've been pumping his tires the whole playoffs, but I don't know, man, like the Rangers in the Stanley Cup beating the Tampa Bay Lightning. Even just like rolling it off your tongue, it just sounds like a little bit like too much. Like you're asking for too much from this team who is good, but they still have deficiencies. They're not that great 5-on-5. They're going to have to get there with the power play against a team with good special teams and Vasilevsky. I'm just not sure if I want to bet the Rangers again. I don't really necessarily want to bet the Lightning that much, but for game 1, I think that minus 130, you take it. And if you get there, then, we'll definitely see like much shorter lines than this the rest of the way. So. Yeah,
it's the Rangers too. The Rangers have the home ice advantage, and like
it's so weird. And that's
people are just writing them off, man. I think it's because these long series that they played, they've won multiple elimination games, like game 7s as well. Like it just feels like they are getting every piece of hockey that they possibly can out of these playoffs, man. They have motors.
They do, and look, that's the other thing. Like they're a young team, right? I mean, I'm not really necessarily that worried about the fatigue factor with the Rangers. They have a young third line who's got a lot of jump in their legs. I just don't know if they quite have like what it like 5-on-5. This team actually isn't like it. They're not super elite. And I just feel like the Lightning are going to expose that, with Stamkos and Kucherov at too many points in the series. This game 1 is huge for them. If they can jump out on the Lightning here and just maybe get them, off their game a little bit, the rust factor, I could definitely see this series going like 6 or 7. If Tampa wins this game, I think this could be over in like 5.
Yeah.
So
like
Yeah. And I know the Rangers have come back, but like, I don't think they're coming back in Tampa.
Yeah, it's a different beast to come back against. And props to them actually for winning on Carolina so much, which that was their first home loss of the postseason, Carolina. But this feels like it could be that stereotypical third round playoff series. It's projected to be low scoring. So I kind of agree with you. Like, there could be a little bit of value there on the home underdog, like in game one, like, and especially since the Bolts haven't played since May 23rd.
I think the more I think about this series, I think the way you should play it is, I think you should bet the Lightning tonight. And if they lose, then you can jump on the Lightning for the series.
Okay.
Even if the Lightning lose 2 games in a row here, like they lose both home games, I would actually be fine about taking them to win in like 6 or 7. It's nothing against the Rangers. It just, the Lightning are the team here. I think they're gonna be a really tough out for New York, but it's playoff, man. Anything can happen. So I just see that minus 130, and it just seems like a tiny bit too short, or not short enough for me.
Okay, so the under 5-0 in the Lightning's last 5.
Yeah, overall. And like again, it's 5.5. I know that like everyone's probably like, well, like eventually these games will go over. If you bet the under in every single game in that Carolina series, you did really good.
Okay, so we have a little more than 10 minutes to go in the show. Let's
get to golf, man. I mean, we got a lot to talk about.
let's get to golf. I want to get your reaction first because we talked a lot about the Memorial this morning. We'll get some top plays from you here in just a second, but I need to talk to you about this Live Golf tour. This series is going to start in London next week, and one thing that's clear to me, dude, is money reigns supreme here. And there's a certain point, like you and I don't really blame these guys either. The biggest news yesterday when the 42-man field was announced, going to be 48 guys, still 6 spots to fill. A couple things stood out to me. I saw Phil Mickelson wasn't on there. Who knows if he's going to end up joining or not? I don't know. I feel like his life is a mess right now. But Dustin Johnson is jumping ship from the PGA Tour. It's been confirmed. The reports are that he was offered at least 100 mil. Some reports have it up to 150 mil. So, I mean, how shocked were you to see him on there? Because this is a guy, was it like a month ago, Jeff, that he put a statement out through the PGA Tour saying, I am committed to the PGA Tour.
Yeah. And, I think like that statement from Dustin came out at a time when I think like the reaction to the Live Golf Tour was just so overwhelmingly like, and it still is negative, but it was just so overwhelmingly like, yeah, this is a joke. And it was still like a few months out. And, Dustin was just like, no, I'm fine staying here. But as it gets closer and you start to, and I'm sure this is what happened with Dustin, he started to really just like look at things and consider, the amount of money that was being offered versus staying on the PGA Tour at like, he's in his late 30s and grinding it out and having to do these pro-ams every Wednesday and going to like the Sanderson farms for a couple events in the fall and things like that. And he probably just realized he's like, is the prestige of just playing and getting like a few more wins on the PGA Tour, is it really worth it versus making a ton of money? I'm playing in the Masters every year till I'm 70. I'm probably going to be playing in the other events every year too, because I'm sure he'll still be up there in the world golf rankings somehow. And I think it just was like, click. It's just, this is kind of not a no-brainer, but like it makes too much sense and it's too big an opportunity for me to pass up. So I think that's what you're seeing with a lot of these veteran players. And like guys like Sergio Garcia, like we see him getting frustrated on the course. Where does it come from? It comes from the fact like these players, they're a little bit mad at the fact that the PGA has built their brand on them. Like everybody knows who Sergio Garcia is, but Sergio has got to go to these events. He's got to grind it out. And I think there's just not enough reward, it feels like, for some of these guys. And I think they actually have a grief. And I know these guys make millions of dollars. Like I know that, but like the whole reason they made that social media pool, that prize pool, was to try and reward more of the top players.
Yeah.
And I kind of think it backfired because I don't think it got spread around enough to some of the players who the PGA actually like makes their bank on, like guys like Adam Scott and Sergio, who play these like these weaker field events sometimes. And they're like, they're headliners. How are they? They weren't really even profiting off it. So I think that like a lot of these guys kind of had enough. And I think the Live Golf Tour came around at a pretty opportune time to catch these guys with a few good years left. And I think it's really going to shake things up. I don't know if the Live Golf Tour is going to be successful on its own, but I think it's going to shake up the way that the PGA Tour eventually schedules its stuff. I think you're going to see more bigger events scheduled and maybe like lesser events, like some of these lesser ones maybe turn into like some kind of like minor league tour. But I think at the very least, like the landscape of golf is actually changing. And I think Dustin Johnson going, a guy at like a top 20 player in the world, top 15 player in the world, he's number one in the world like a year ago.
Yeah.
He's leaving. It's like the equivalent of like, I don't even know. Like, think of a quarter, like Josh Allen leaving. Someone like maybe not Josh Allen, but like Matthew Stafford leaving the NFL to
there you go. That's a good comparison, like upper half, like quarterback and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Like maybe on the downs, maybe on like the second half of his career, but still.
I was going to say DJ creeping to 40 and probably realizes like his best days are likely behind him. The field itself maybe like rated like a B, like C plus. Like at first, a lot of these guys who probably saw that like they weren't going to be able to compete a whole lot more like on the PGA Tour. But I do think they could be guys who blaze a path here for others who see this. You see some of the amateurs they're going to start to pull over. Like, I think there was a kid playing an NCAA championship today, and he's already signed for like $6 million. Like, that's the one thing the tour can't have happen with some of these young guns just yanked from there.
I think the scariest name for the PGA Tour on that list is Taylor Gooch.
100%.
This dude is,
he just cracked like the top 50, like prime of his career. Like, like he was about to play in like all the majors, invitational, like you could get some FedEx money, you're getting like sponsors coming in, and then you decide to like to jump, and like this is the best year of his career, and I guess he's using it to say, I'm going to go make a boatload of money elsewhere. Yeah,
and again, like this is a younger player who's grabbed the win on the PGA Tour, like you said. Now he's got access to all the PGA Tour big events, and he still said, you know what?
Yeah.
I'd rather go take the money, the easier schedule, the easier fields, than worry about like building up my prestige on the PGA Tour. And I think that there's going to be I think there's going to be a few more young people, like, let's see, like Taylor Gooch making, maybe $20 million or something in like the next few months, and being like, I'll take a piece of that too, by the way. So that was the most shocking name. I was like, really, Taylor Gooch? That is that I just didn't think that they'd be getting those type of young players. Like, I really thought they'd just be shut out of like the under 30 crowd. So that one was interesting. The veterans don't surprise me. Of course the veterans are going to take it. Like Graham McDowell. What are you going to do if you're Graham McDowell? Try and win the Puerto Rico Open every third year, or go and make like $5 million of an event? Of course you're going to do that. Like, those guys aren't surprising. DJ and Gooch were the most surprising. I'm not shocked because we know who DJ is, and like he kind of does his own thing, and he's just DJ. But it still really surprised me to see that he actually went, because I just didn't think that they'd get that level player. And it's just that alone is going to shake things up. So.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, like, no, Gooch isn't necessarily like a star, but again, in his prime. And then like I saw Chase Koepka on there, which makes me think, will a slightly more famous brother like eventually join him? I don't know.
That was interesting too. Yeah, I mean,
we'll see, man. Because remember, before Brooks came over to the PGA Tour, wasn't Brooks like kicking ass over on the European Tour?
Yeah, right. That's where Brooks started his career. So I mean, like, how much loyalty does Brooks even have to the PGA? Like, he didn't even get his start over here. Like, he basically said, okay, I'm not going to go through your grinding to like Q school, whatever. I'm going to go make some money on the Euro Tour, and I'll come back when I'm good enough. And he did. So I was surprised to see like Adam Scott was not over there. And I think Adam Scott he's on your screen now. He's plus 5,000 this week at the Memorial. So he's in the field there. We got about 5 minutes left in show here. So just first off, give me your best bet that you like at the Memorial this week. Yeah. And just to finish that off, look, this is only the first event. We could see more players go. Like, Adam Scott could easily be on the next starting list. Yeah. Paul Casey, another guy I think you may see there eventually.
Yeah, I looked at that as just like an obvious segue and stuff, but no, you're right. You and I could talk about this for hours because there's also the PGA Tour threatening disciplinary action. So like, what do you think it'll be? How do you think the majors are going to handle some of it since those aren't run by the PGA Tour? And then you got Rory, who's changed his tune a little bit. And it's just like, hey, I don't think players should be harshly punished. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if these guys thinking DJ will never play another PGA Tour event again. Like, we'll see, but you and I can talk about this more next week.
My quick take is I think that eventually the PGA Tour is going to have to concede and they're going to be allowing players on both tours. But that's just a quick take for this week. The Memorial. This is a good event. It's a good betting event too. So we should be talking more about it. But I'll be quick. I really like Sungjae M this week, plus 3,500. Dude's playing really well. The only reason Sungjae hasn't been like popping for like top 10s, top 5s is just the putter has been really cold for him. But I'm not too worried about that. The around the green is really good. The ball striking is good. I look at him, people are betting Zalatoris. They want to go down to like, Cam Smith or Hideki, but I think the bigger odds with Sungjae are worth taking. We've seen him, like Augusta, he handles really well.
Yep.
He's done really well at Bay Hill, like longer golf courses. So he's got the game to handle Muirfield Village. I think like plus 700 for a top 5. Again, I definitely wrote him up this week in Reed's article, and I'm covering him for him. And then like Victor Hovland is a player. I'm just going to bet this week. I mean, I don't think the number is great at plus 2,000. I'd much rather he was like plus 2,800, but I look at the guys he's around. I don't want to bet Fitzpatrick at 25. Smith is a little bit too short. I just don't really love this golf course for Smith. Like the rough is a little bit up. It's just I don't know, maybe just a little bit too tough. Spieth playing 4 weeks in a row. I guess you can make a case for him, but
that's
he's
a
never
lot
really gelled with this golf course either. I think the bet is like to load up on one of these younger players who's done well. And I'll side with Hovland, who was pretty good last week, confident with the putter. Like we know his ball striking can take an uptick really quick. So I see him as having a couple starts under his belt now. He took a long break after Augusta, but I think he's due for like a big win. Like Hovland's won like the Mexico, the offsite events like Puerto Rico, Mexico. It's time for him to get a big boy win. He's too good not to. So I think Hovland at plus 2,000, Sungjae at plus 3,500. That I like starting there. If you're going deeper, I like Xander this week. I just the plus 1,600. It just puts me off. It's just too short. I think if you're going big with one of the guys, it'd probably just be Rory. I mean, plus 1,100. He's playing really well. So those are kind of like the three guys I'm targeting. Again, Hovland and Nam being like the main ones.
Rory has 4 top 10s and 10 starts here too in good old Dublin, Ohio. But then we also know John Rahm, and I know that's a short number, and I know you weren't interested earlier in the week. 1 victory and 3 attempts, but we all know he should have 2.
That is true. I mean, the only thing that puts me off Rahm, and I know like Jason Soul was talking about him and he liked him, but I don't know, man. People just expecting him to turn it on. He hasn't really looked that settled this year. I know he's got the win in Mexico, but it was kind of like with his C+ games. So I just haven't really seen it. And I think it's just too short a number. I would side with Rory over Rahm this week. That goes for DFS too. I'm going to bring up one more bet because we're basically out of time. Top 40. If you were looking for a top 40 play here, Adam Long gained 6 strokes on approach last week. He is a guy who can get really hot with his putter. He's actually a pretty just solid all-around player. But you're looking for top 40 plays. He's been grinding out cuts. He's actually, I think he's finished top 40 in like each of his last. I'll bring him up here really quick. We'll get his history up here because I really do like this play. I like him for DFS too. Everyone's going to play Brendan Steele at this number, but yeah. So in 4 of his last 5 events, he's top 40. And like last week, he was T35. And he basically gained like he lost strokes putting, and he's a good putter. Like he doesn't lose strokes putting that often. So I look at Adam Long as a player who he can get there a couple different ways for us. The ball striking's good, and if the putter just gets a little better, that's good. But even his putter can get hot, and like he could just putt us into like a top 40. So I think that plus,
and you know what?
Is too big.
Here's a fun fact that backs you up. He has an average finish of 39th over his last 4 trips to this course.
Yeah, and he's got experience playing the course. So there's the kind of cherry on top. So I think that's a great bet. For again, you're just looking for like a nice top 40 sweat. I think Adam Long is a great play in DFS too. I really do. Everyone's going to play Brendan Steele and like Glover at this range, but I actually think Long. And you look at it like when his putter gets hot, he'll top 20. He'll even top 10. That's kind of how crazy confident you can get with that club. You can look back down. So I think he's a good DFS play at 6,700.
All right, dude. That's it. I mean, that was a rapid pace show. We squeezed a lot in here.
That's
nice
good.
work.
Yeah.
No. Way to be, bro. Way to be. Shout out to AC on the ones and twos and producer Eamon. We got to go because I believe Madden is coming up. If you guys want more, don't forget you have the match. They have the match teeing off here. I think in the next 30 minutes to an hour. So check out the DK Sportsbook for some fun bets between all four of those quarterbacks. Thank you everybody for watching. And we'll see you back here next time. Much love.